his brother Esau. That's just a little bit in the book of Genesis. All the way through the books of the Bible, we see deception. Now, I want to tell you something, folks. The biggest way that a person can get deceived, you ready for this, is to get distracted. Yep. I'm going to meddle a little bit. How many times when we go to pray, do we start praying and all of a sudden start thinking of everything in the world we're supposed to do? See, even a chicken does that. Every time we start to do something, think on the Lord, read the Scripture, we come up with all these things. That is Satan trying to distract us. Now, if you want to stop that, keep you a pencil and a piece of paper wherever you're praying and say, okay, I'm going to write that down and deal with it later. You know what? Later on, you probably ain't going to think of anything about it. It's just the devil trying to get you to stop what you're doing. And so people get distracted. Just like y'all are getting distracted by this right now. But you also get to see. Let me go ahead and take this little critter out of here, if you would. He's going to be our bird wild game handler today. Okay, I hope you can do it and catch her and don't let her take off. Because if she gets out, you got to chase her. Get her out and hold her. Okay, all these people are probably going to fight now. So you need to hold her. All right, now, first thing I want you to do, Drew, is I want you to take this chicken, lay her down on her side. Lay her down on her side. You got to hold her. If you ain't going to like that, I'll snap her. All right, lay her down on her side. Now look at me. Just like this. You're a dumb chicken. You're supposed to stay there. All right? Hold her down like this. Yeah. You got to hold her still. All it took was a little bit of this. Okay? Now, I want you to hold her down, and I want you to do something. I want you to sit her down like you normally would. All right, just hold her still. Hold her like me. Give me your hand now. Okay, now you can put it back up.
Chicken handle.
Now, I'm going to explain to you what I think just took place there. Now, evolutionists tell us that what did a chicken come from? No, they tell us it come from what? Dinosaurs. And dinosaurs are what? Reptiles. Reptiles have one of the smallest brains in all of creation. Okay? All right. You can take her back out so that people listen to me instead of listening to her. Well, when I asked Danny if I could use a chicken, he was thinking pastor, chicken, and we're taking barbecue. No. Yeah, shake it upside down. We go shake it up and deep fry it. reptiles and birds have very small brains for their body. I'm going to tell you what I think is going on here. It has nothing to do with evolution. I think it's the fact that a chicken doesn't have a very big brain. And primal natures are to eat and reproduce, and basically that's it. Even being safe isn't one of them. Because how many times have you watched chickens or ducks swim out, not chickens, but ducks swim out over a pond that's full of gators? How many times have you seen a bird take off or land in the water that's full of moccasins and stuff like that that you wouldn't go into? Or a cat run into the bushes knowing there could be anything in there. All they're thinking about is food and reproducing. Folks, I'm going to tell you something. What I showed you right here was a matter of distraction. All I did was distracted that chicken with my finger. There are actually three ways. In the first way, I don't know why she wouldn't respond to it, but there's three ways you can hypnotize a chicken. And I got 2 out of 3, so that ain't bad. But whenever I was moving my hand around, her eyes were watching, and all of a sudden I went like that, and she was totally distracted. The other thing was I was rubbing her right here. And you know what? I waited until I could feel her heartbeat slow down. Folks, Satan is out to distract God's people. And there's a reason why he wants to do it. He wants to deceive us. Now listen, you will never be deceived unless you are distracted. Let's go back to Adam and Eve. If Adam had been with Eve that day, when the devil came to her and says, did God really say this? He would have had to have 2 of them to deal with. But Eve was away from Adam. I don't know what she was doing at the tree. I don't know why she was there. But when God tells us to do something, it's for a reason. And if the devil can get us distracted to think that this don't really matter, we are on the road to be deceived. Listen, our world is full of things that at one time you did not speak about in public. You certainly didn't say certain things in public at one time in America or in any civilized society. That's why men got in corners and whispered those things that they said. Now, women tell dirty jokes and filthy language out in public. The world has changed, but holiness hasn't. And if the devil can get you distracted into thinking that it doesn't matter anymore, then he can deceive you. Because once you're distracted, you know what has happened? You have taken your eyes off the cross. And you have started asking the question, did God really say? And so once we've been distracted, the deception is easy to come in. And it doesn't matter who we're going to be deceiving. We need to understand that God has told us these things for a reason. And once we've been distracted from that, what was that narrow way you were reading about a while ago? The narrow way and the broad way. When we get distracted, do you know what's going to happen? You're going to move over into the broad way. How many of you have ever driven around Atlanta? Most of us have. I tell people that if you want to know what hell is like, drive in Atlanta on 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and you'll see what it's like. Folks, if you are on the highway, 12 lanes of traffic, Santa Monica Freeway, the same way in California, we've been on there, and you get into the wrong lane, do you know what can happen to you? You can end up somewhere you don't want to go.
Brother Squat, he's getting that way here now. The same thing that you're talking about.
Yep.
My son was trying to get here yesterday, come see me, and he was coming down 20 and then to Freeport and this one. He had to turn around and go back home. He couldn't. It was blocked. Traffic.
It was just
And
solid.
same thing as what you're saying.
From one end to the other. And folks, understand this. If you get into the wrong lane on the broad road, you have already been distracted. You're going to get deceived into thinking, hey, all these people are okay. Folks, understand something. Listen to me. Are you listening? I want your attention. We don't judge people outside the church. They're acting the way they're supposed to act, because people without Jesus don't act the way we're supposed to act. So we have no right to judge them. That's God's business. So why are we saying, okay, I'm not going to judge you in regard to your sin, but I'm going to judge you in regard to what the gospel says? We'll ignore the gospel because we like the people around us.